start with so I ended up at business school like my father as an serial entrepreneur, and I graduated from Harvard Business School in 1998 when money was falling off of trees for anybody with a .com business plan. And there were a number of us while we were still in school that had developed a business plan for a company called Zephyr. It was an internet consulting company. We won the Harvard Business School business plan contest. And even before we graduated, venture capitalists gave us $2 million. And you think of it as like having a free pass given by virtue of our educational credentials and the moment and the crazy 1998 to 2001, the crazy moment we were in when people weren't really worried about rational business plans that were viable. So, we had that 2 million coming out of school. A year later, we were 8 founders, 25 employees, all of us very young. We had $1 million in revenue. And someone came along and said, why don't we give you 100 million to grow the business, right? So totally crazy, insane moment. We grew it to 150 people, 6 offices, and then the bubble burst. And we had filed to go public. We were scheduled to go in October of 2000, the day that the market had its biggest drop. I got a call at 6:30 in the morning. We're pulling the IPO. So I went through the whole Goldman Sachs roadshow, about to IPO, and the chaos that ensued. And in that chaos, I was like, wow, something's really wrong. Like, we never had a viable business plan. Everything I was taught makes no sense to me. I'm deeply perplexed by the behavior. People are behaving badly. They're greedy, they're selfish. I thought people were fundamentally good. They seem like they're fundamentally bad. And I was very lucky to have a mentor, some of you may know Peter Block, who said, people are fundamentally good, Deborah, that's correct, but they're playing by the rules of a fundamentally flawed game. Go study systems thinking. Try to understand the systems that give rise to the behavior that's a surprise to all of us. And that led me to Margaret Wheatley, who became my long-term mentor. I joined her at her institution called the Berkana Institute that she created after she wrote Leadership in the New Science in 1991 around how do people behave? What is this whole systems thing? How do we understand complexity? How do we understand self-organization and emergence? And I became her successor at Berkana. And that led me to spending a number of years mostly working in the global South with communities that had rejected the narrative coming out of the US about privatization and globalization. So these were actually folks, where international development had failed. And they were saying, hold on, we don't actually want that. We're going to turn our backs on the dominant system, and we're going to choose to put the well-being of people in place at the center of any economic system, any place-based economic system that we build. And I witnessed them building worker-owned cooperatives, creating land trusts, relying on participatory processes for planning local goods and services, using alternative currencies, using barter systems, gift economies, all the stuff that we in the progressive sector talk about, they were just doing. And most importantly, they were including all of the members of their communities, including and especially those who are most vulnerable, marginalized, and their elders. And those are the folks that I wrote about in Walk Out, Walk On. And I learned far more from them than they did from me. And when I would ask them, as an American coming over to Zimbabwe or South Africa or India or Brazil, what can I do to help? They said, okay, it's great that you're here. Thank you for caring. But really, if you want to help, please go home. Please go back to your own community. First, it's the export of ideas from the US and other northern capitalist societies that are causing us our troubles. And second, do your work where you have relationship, where you have roots, where you have belonging. And so you asked about the learning. So for me, the learning has been a journey of understanding complex adaptive systems and that whole way of thinking. And what I've learned over the past 20 years as a student of systems thinking is that it's the nature of living systems to self-organize around a set of values and beliefs. And if we want to participate in supporting the transition from an economic system that is designed to generate inequality, which our economic system is designed to do, right, to one that generates opportunity for all and well-being for each other and the planet, then we have to look at the beliefs that we hold, right? And the beliefs that we hold around profit, growth, efficiency, ownership, returns, which are the values around most of which our dominant systems are organized, that we treasure and value in the American dream. So we've got to really challenge that set of beliefs.